session 1 of what I'm calling God's plan. Now, we talk a lot about God having a plan for our lives, but it's not always easy to find out what that plan is. Jeremiah 29:11 says this, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Now, while he was talking specifically to the people in exile in Babylon, he was giving them a hope that they would be restored to their homeland. It's a promise that reflects the very nature of God. Now, the people found themselves in exile because they had repeatedly failed to listen to God's warnings about their behaviour, their disobedience. And so he allowed them to take the consequence of their disobedience, was to simply be overrun by Babylon and taken into exile. But even then, he's promising them that they would be restored. They would have a future, because that's what he wanted for them. He wanted them to prosper. It's his nature. We say that God has a plan for every life. Ephesians 1:4, he chose us in him before the creation of the world to be holy and blameless in his sight. Before the world was created, God had a plan for us. Psalm 139:16, all the days were ordained for me, were written in your book before one of them came to be. And although this one is specific to the prophet Jeremiah, God said, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations." And it was just Jeremiah, but it shows that God has a purpose for every life. He knows what that's going to be before a person is even born. So what's the plan for my life, and how do I find out? I believe it's a little bit like our GPS in the car. We'll put in a destination, and it doesn't just download all the directions at once and hope we remember them. It guides us step by step. If we miss a turn, if we take a wrong turn, it'll reroute us and get us back on the road we're supposed to be. And I believe that's more how God guides us. Sometimes he will give us a broad picture of what our life is meant to be. But in that broad picture, we still just have the step-by-step guidance. If we look at Abraham, we see the direction given to him was very short on detail. Genesis 12:1. The Lord had said to Abraham, "Go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you." No details, just go. The promise that he would be shown. So he got up and went. Now we don't know why he headed south into Canaan, but when he got there, God appeared to him and said, "I'll give this land to your offspring." And Abraham responded to that by building an altar to God, praising him. When you think about it, Abraham was 75 years old when he set out from Haran. His wife Sarah was old too. She was well past childbearing age. They had no children. Yet God's promising this land to their offspring. It would have seemed absolutely impossible to them. And yet Abraham believed, and so he built the altar to God, praising God. And then he didn't settle there, he moved on towards Egypt. But God was revealing his plan step by step. Abraham just was believing and being obedient along the way. He didn't give Abraham details of what was to be, but Abraham listened, he listened to God's guidance, he believed, he obeyed, and so he became the father of the faith.
It's never too late, it's not too late, it's not too late for you. I have a plan for you, I have a plan for you. It's gonna be wild, it's gonna be great, it's gonna be full of me. Open up your heart and let me in. Open up your heart and let me in. I'll open up my heart and let you in. It's gonna be wild, it's gonna be great.